The first thing he shows me is a picture of Norman Mailer. Now, I would like to introduce our host.
Thank you, Mr. Vidal. Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to have with us our greatest living man of letters, Gore Vidal.
Thank you very much. I had hoped for a more intimate occasion. We have the street and the interior here. I would love to be a bridge between the two, but I hope that we can get an intimate chat going back and forth. I said I'd do what is laughingly called questions and answers, which means I ramble on and you try to get a question in. And how often I hear, but you didn't answer the question. And I said, well, that's an answer, isn't it? But whatever may be on your mind, let's chat about it. Will I be able to hear them out there?
The question can be repeated if you can't hear them. But the questions will be started off with Mary Ann McDonald whenever you're ready.
Oh, modern technology. Mary Ann, where are you?
To your right.
There you are.
Hello.
How well you look.
Thank you. And you do too.
Yeah. I'll accept that. What is the question?
Sorry. I was thinking.
This is
you
bad
were
rehearsing,
presentation.
you know.
Okay, sorry. No, the question actually was palimpsest. I was meandering on and seeing this almost as a continuation of palimpsest, in a way, a continuation of the love story with Jimmy Trimble, in a way, in the two aspects of T. Veal, namely the one artist-creator with the glorious mind, and the other one who fought this war and went on and, well, we won't tell the ending now, will we? But I was wondering, did any of that cross your mind at all when you were doing it? Because you took the South Pacific as a setting. And I was wondering, in certain events that might have gone on. And by the way, it's a brilliant book, and it's so funny. I love the debate with the corrupt presidents, and that was gorgeous. And so it's such a good read. I recommend it to everyone.
Well, can you hear her out there? She gave the most eloquent praise of my new novel, and I thought I don't have to say much more, you know. She's really filling in for me, and of course, you couldn't hear it. Anyway, Professor MacDonald is a great classicist, so palimpsest is coming from the Greek as part of the culture she knows and teaches. She asked me, was this new book in any way a continuation of a memoir that I wrote called Palimpsest, about my first 39 years, and much of it about my youth and the war. And two of us who grew up in Washington and went to the same school, and one of us survived the war to be able to chat to you here in La Jolla a half-century later, and the other one was killed at Iwo Jima on the 1st of March, 1945. So, in a sense, one has always felt that to be alive was always an accident. And after the Second War, having been in it, I played no important or dangerous part, but others did, and this friend of mine did, and paid for it duly. So I brought it. She wonders if I had this in mind when I invent the story of a 13-year-old in 1939 going to St. Albans, summoned mysteriously to the Smithsonian Institution, sort of out of time, out of place. The exhibits come alive at night. There's a Native American exhibit comes alive. Presidents' wives who are lined up in those inaugural gowns, they come to life. Presidents do. Our 13-year-old hero is a quantum physicist, a genius, and helps out with the atom bomb. He promptly falls in love with a beautiful 21-year-old girl who turns out to be, from the president's exhibit, Mrs. Grover Cleveland, Frances Folsom Cleveland, known as Frankie, who was the most beautiful and accomplished of all our first ladies. Where Eleanor Roosevelt was the great one, but not exactly a beautiful one, this one was both beautiful and intelligent. And she married Grover Cleveland in the White House at the age of 21. And she and our teenage hero, who ages to about 16, so you do not need to fear, well, I don't know about La Jolla, but you need not fear being arrested for pedophilia if you are walking along with a copy of this book and his dust jacket, showing an adolescent boy with a mature woman of 21. I love the way Lawyer Ginsburg, it was Mr. Bennett, the hypocrite who writes about morality. 7 moral things or 8 immoral things or whatever. He was on Larry King, and when he first got on, when the Monica case was really, really boiling, well, this to me is immoral. He said, just immoral. This great empty elephant head, going back and forth. So immoral. The president with a 21-year-old girl. Well, I thought 21 was pretty old, I'm sure there are a few grandmothers around. At least there used to be one in Peru up to 21. Laughter from old hands who remember. The 4-year-old who gave birth in Peru during our youth, giving great joy to the younger set. And I must say this whole show has been so wonderful for hypocrisy, which is, I think, perhaps our greatest, domestic, certainly for consumption, production. Hypocrisy really is just so ripe, and every day passes. It does give one something to live for. And they talk about him, poor Clinton, harassing this girl. I was brought up in Washington and am quite acquainted with the White House and with presidents. All the harassing is usually on the side of the woman. The presidents, obviously this one is very energetic, I think we all know that. They are harassed by groupies. I mean, a president cannot turn around with somebody, some lady, or even gentleman, flinging herself at his head. So I would say all the harassing perhaps came from the other side, particularly when she puts notes in the Washington Post, "You forgot me on Valentine's Day." Here he is trying to have his very own war, and like George Bush and the other big guys, she's worrying about Valentine's Day. I said to a journalist, showing that they're pretty goony too. This one was from a nameless paper called the Washington Post, and he wanted to interview me, and I said, I don't give interviews to the press by and large. And I said, well, no. And he said, well, he's been hounding me for years. And he said, well, would you comment on what's going on in Washington now about the Washington novel versus Washington reality? And the reality is so much more lurid than anything a novelist could think of. The usual dumb question. So I said, well, Monica strikes me as a sort of play Misty for me character. Now you got it. This is a journalist, she's 31, 32. I'm sorry, but that's before my time, he said. Now come off it. I said, you are in the Washington Post, a hatchet man, likes to misquote literary figures. And you never heard of that. Because that's exactly what she seemed like to me, that intense stare. And you can see Clinton going to Vernon Jordan and say, save me. The Pentagon is so big, you can get lost over there, he said, with a big wink at Vernon Jordan. I mean, this may not be lust, it may be terror on his part. Get her out of here. But enough of this small talk.